So hey everybody, welcome.
Hi,
My name's
everyone.
Ray. My name's Ray,
And I'm Tiffany.
and we're here to tell you a little bit about why we're doing this and where we come from. So first off, how are we here? How did we meet each other? Funny part of that story is that we haven't even really ever met in person, but we know each other through our mutual friend, Kat. We'll leave her anonymously named just as that, um, who we've known through the sort of innovation impact world, who introduced us and thought, you two have to know each other. She does that a lot. She's a magic maker at doing that. And Tiffany, I remember the very first phone call that Kat was on where she introduced us. And I remember being like, that lady's really powerful.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like I remember being on that phone call and being able to literally feel you through the screen.
Yeah.
And like when that happens, it's like, pay attention. And by that I mean like I could feel the um wisdom, the gravitas that you carried. And also, you just seemed like a really cool person. And it's like, I need to get to know her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, I could feel the sense of like you being able to like hold like a lot
Mm.
in general. And there was this like fierce, like, I know you've mentioned like this sort of like badassness of just like, whoa, like tiger mom energy, but not mean. Like just a lot of power, you know? I mean, there was a little bit of like, don't piss that lady off, but also just a lot of strength, you know, like, and a lot of capacity to hold a lot of space, which I've come to learn you do.
Mm.
um so, you know, you may have heard Tiffany's intro that she does works with the Akashic records, and you know, I've had the privilege of getting to experience your sessions, and it's been amazing to experience like that energy within the sort of spiritual realm where, you know, you hold a lot as a facilitator, you know, and someone who holds a lot of space. It's funny because we've both held a lot of like different meeting spaces for like a lot of high power people. So like that's there, but then also the capacity to just hold like a lot of information coming through, a lot of energy coming through. And so, you know, it's interesting to feel that, and experience that version of you and what it is to hold space, when you access the records, you know, for me, and I'm sure for other people too, um, has been really, really cool, and something that has continued to inspire me to work and co-create and collaborate with you, because it's like, you know, it's something that I really admire.
Oh, thank you. That really means a lot, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, hey, can you write my bio for me? I really appreciate that. And one practitioner to another, being a facilitator of this divine energy that is coming through and knowing just how much that takes and also the work part of the journey to be able to hold that. I just really appreciate that. Um, I tend to think that I'm just a normal human being, and yet at the same time, I recognize that it's an incredible privilege to be able to be a vehicle for whatever that is that's desiring to come through us. Um, yeah, and so I just express like a lot of gratitude. My experience of you has also been a very similar, like dragon energy. But what's really interesting to me is the full spectrum that you're able to embody. You and I have not only are we friends and collaborators, but we also serve as healers to one another. And I think that's really special about this relationship, is that I not only can like go to you as an intellectual partner, but then also someone who has such a deep range in terms of the modalities and the energies that you're tapping into. And whether it be some of the softer Reiki energies to like really intense energies that you're pulling in from the angelic realms, from the Elohim, through the Kundalini energy, and being able to literally feel myself being lifted and carried up and purged and sort of like laid in surrender has just been a tremendous gift. So thank you for being able to hold it with such integrity, right? Because I think that it to be a vehicle for this like powerful force that is coming through, it's just really important for me to like know people who are holding this with the deep respect and profound integrity that you do. So I just thank you.
Yeah. What we do.
That's what we do.
But I'm also, one reason I'm excited to be doing this, and, for all who are watching, is that, for me, and I'm curious for you, Tiffany, part of this work is speaking, right? Our experience, our perspective. Both of us have access to different ways of seeing and or feeling what's happening in the world. And so a big part of this is about sharing that, but from the perspective of also, again, having worked in the worlds of innovation, social impact, strategy, and sort of systems change, being able to sort of share what it is that we're seeing, feeling, sensing, hearing, in a way that we hope shares something, shares a unique perspective, offers a different way of thinking about things, and tapping into your own knowledge and wisdom, and maybe something that you've been feeling but maybe haven't been able to name, or gives you a new way of processing what's happening in the world right now. And then also that offers energy, right? Some sort of catalyst for wherever you're at in your life right now, whoever you are, wherever you are, dealing with what's happening in the world right now is a lot. And so, one thing I know you, Tiffany, and I are both really passionate about is connection and community, and offering people a way to just, again, connect with other people who are feeling like there's something deeper happening, beyond just the headlines, beyond just sort of the surface level conversation, or even complaining about what's happening, offering a different perspective that can start to offer a way towards growth, or making sense of things that's supportive to you and your life. So yeah, Tiffany, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I feel like this time of COVID has sort of exasperated a lot of things that were sort of already there, but just amplified them on such a profound level, and literally just grounded the world to a halt. It was this paradox where it just amplified things, and also had us in a standstill where we couldn't help but just like stare at that hole that has been there for a really long time. And this not only was happening on the communal level, as you discussed, institutions, organizations, communities, but then also I think people have really taken this time to do a personal investigation of the areas where they haven't been working for themselves, right? And so as like you and I have both been really passionate about, okay, how can we have a really honest conversation about what's going on individually, but then also create places where people feel safe to be able to share these experiences, and then hopefully be able to connect dots in a meaningful way that is not rebuilding some of the same issues that we had before, but actually surfaces some of that sort of like deep grimy stuff, but in a way that's not shameful, but is helpful to sort of like be able to again have an honest conversation and bring it to a light where we can be able to find solutions again that will help like move us to the next level. And I think that a lot of people have been feeling these rumblings for a while. It's just a matter of being able to confront them and then also have some spaciousness for ourselves and each other.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so, if there's one gift that you're hoping to bring to this show and to the conversations that we're going to be holding and hosting, anything that you're wanting specifically to share with the people who are watching, and or that you want them to sort of like feel or take away?
Yeah, I just want to normalize this stuff.
By this stuff, you mean?
By this stuff, I mean like the quote unquote like weird feelings that people are feeling, meaning sort of like the feelings of discomfort, right, that they're feeling within themselves. But then also I really feel that people are awakening to their extrasensory awareness, right? So other ways of knowing, some people call this their intuitive gifts, whether or not you say it's like gut instinct. Some people say that it's like a window into the supernatural. And I feel that these periods, again, where people are sort of like grinding to a halt and really investigating and doing these sort of like deep personal questionings, are actually an invitation for spirit, God, source to be able to invite us to be able to transform. And so I just wanted to both normalize that this breaking apart and breaking away, that it happens and that it's okay, right? To not be scared of it. And then also, those cracks create like a spaciousness for magic to happen. And so when that does, to also normalize that and like step into it as opposed to like closing down and backing away.
Right.
Yeah. And what about you, Ray? Like what's sort of like your intention and the thing that you want to bring to this show?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, Tiffany, you work with a lot of leaders and helping them, do everything that you mentioned to find clarity in these times. For me, I think my version of that is expression. This feeling of, each and every person having this really unique gift to offer to the world, and that this time is calling for that more than ever before, right? Like calling people to share what it is that they have, their unique gifts, their unique perspectives, their unique talents, to live more alive than we ever have before. But the question is, like, how do you do that in the face of all of these challenges, one after another, like a tidal wave, right? The thing that I'm really interested to bring is the all the tools that I've used to make sense of all of the waves that are here, and sort of process the gifts that they have for myself and for clarifying my own understanding of who I am and why I'm here and what I'm supposed to do and what I'm supposed to act for, and how. Because I think that, we're going through a huge shadow work period in the world right now, and get offering that perspective, I think, um, to say, how can I use this as a way of, you know understanding more deeply, like how I can step up, who I am in this, like how I can serve, but then also doing that through conversations and connections, right? Like with you, with other people on the show, because doing this out there on your own is hard. And that's why I've always been a proponent of community, right? It's like we need reflections from other people about how they did it, what they went through, to normalize, as you mentioned, the experiences that we're having in a very confusing time. When we might be getting information that's meant for us, but we don't know how to find a place of reference or a reference point for it, or know what's true or not. It's really important to hear from other people about how they did it, right? So a big part of this is sharing my own experience. Another is, inviting other, guests on to share their experience, many of whom, who are either, experienced healers and facilitators themselves, or leaders who have gone through the work, like you mentioned, right? Who can speak from their own experience of when it was hard, when it was clear, how they found, what it was that they needed, so that, you who are watching can have more resources, more reference points for your own experience through this journey. And then again, hopefully, my perspective and your perspective, Tiffany, and any of our guests, to share as an alternative way of thinking about what's happening in the world right now, and how we can participate.
I love that. I love that, Ray.
Yeah.
You know, you and I have both mentioned and referenced that we're in a really powerful period of transformation. And I've got a question. What do you think is a common misconception about transformation? Um,
Mm,
what do people fear? And what do you know about the power of transformation?
mm, that's a big question. um, I think that I'm not sure what people actually think of the word transformation itself, could mean so many different things. Um, but when I think of it, I really think of, you think of a butterfly, right? Um, Stereotypical sort of metaphor. But for the butterfly, when it's in the chrysalis before it becomes a butterfly, its entire body melts into goo. It does not exist anymore in the form that it took. It's not like the caterpillar kind of like connects with the wings. It's like its whole body disintegrates to the point where scientists don't really understand like what part of it still maintains its consciousness.
Wow.
But that, I think that is what transformation is about, right? It's not even necessarily about like fixing something that was old or attaching something that's new. It's like a complete like breaking apart and reemergence in a completely different, way. And those transformations could be big or small, right? Like we're constantly transforming all day. We're transforming the food that goes into us into energy, and that's like a similar kind of just complete, shift of state from one to another. But I think that, the potential for this moment are those leaps, right? Are those leaps of consciousness, leaps of understanding, leaps of ways of being that aren't necessarily the sort of slow plodding, mechanistic ways of being that have come before, but are really these leaps, right? That it's just like what came before. We're not adding to it. We're not sort of reworking it. It's like it's completely disintegrating and forming into something new. So I think that's, the potential, in this sort of precarious potential that this moment holds, right? Because it's like, once there's a very fine process that has to happen, right, for that switch to occur. But I think that's the opportunity right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, how about you? Any closing thoughts as we wrap this first introduction into what's to come?
It's such a joy to be in this space and alive during this time.
Mhm.
And, you and I have both pointed to um, the melting away. And in so many ways, like COVID, we just celebrated we just marked the 20th anniversary of 9/11. In many ways, this has been one of the scariest chapters in history. Um, and yet, I'm incredibly optimistic and joyful about the arc of how we're growing and how we're transforming as a society. And so, while these conversations are like a deeper investigation into like those pockets, for me, I also am leaning into possibility, opportunity, and joyfulness because I sincerely believe that's who we are like becoming as a human race, and how we are becoming not only just as humans, but then also how we're interacting with our world. I really feel that that melting away is sort of like redesigning how we're interacting with the earth, how we're interacting with other planets in our system, how we're becoming aware of everything that is around us. So for me, this is a very joyful, heart-opening time, and I'm really encouraging others to be able to lean into that and fill into that opportunity. Yeah, yeah. Any other words before we close, Ray?
No, I mean, I just think I love that. It's super inspiring. And I think that's the energy that's coming with the next conversations that we have, right? Is this, it's easy to be overwhelmed by all the things that are happening.
Yeah,
And yet, again, with this idea of transformation, right? I think the inside is reflective of the outside. And likewise, every external opportunity that offers us a chance to change within, likewise changes our world as well. So even one person changing, even you watching right now, having some shift, even if it's just one shift from watching something, that is enough to change things, right? And it's with more and more, one person becoming enlightened changes the entire human race, right? And so like each of us coming together to share what it is that we have, to change and inspire the people around us. I think that's what will make a difference. And so it's my hope that you tune in again and see what's to come, and that it offers you something really beautiful that you mentioned, Tiffany, right? Creates a more beautiful and joyful world that we really know is possible.
beautiful.
Awesome.
Well, thank you to everyone who joined us today. Really looking forward to continuing this conversation and continuing to build community. And looking forward to the next time.
Yeah. See
Okay,
you soon.
bye.
Bye.